Now, time for the Women's Tour of Flanders recap. Starts in Oudenaarde. It finished about an hour or so after the men's race, 160 Ks, same finale as the men's with Kreuzberg, then a descent, then the last Quatermont-Paterberg combo, cresting about 13.5 Ks from the finish. Strong SD Worx team here, as always. Kopecky, Majerus, Reusser, Vandenbroek, Black, Vollering, AVV against the world, although they have Norsgaard, who's a backup sprint option, and Sierra. Trek have been flying. They got Bolsamo, Longo Borghini, Van Dijk, Brand. Incredibly strong team. Henderson, Vos, Lebecki, Rihanna Marcus, strong at Jumbo as well. But it seemed to me, Benji, like SD Worx had a very, very clear hierarchy in this race. We even saw Vollering working really, really early in this race as domestique, someone who lost the Omlo sprint to AVV. First time the Koppenberg's been used in this race. I'm not sure what too much happened before then, but that was, I guess, attempted to use as a launch pad.
Yeah, I think so as well. And it was almost used like that, I dare to say, because we knew the Koppenberg is a pretty steep one on the parkour of today. And like you say, it's kind of the start of that last hill range in this race. And we noticed that there was a peloton heading towards that. And it was Annemiek van Vleuten going ham on the Koppenberg already with roughly a good, 45-ish kilometers to go, 49 kilometers to go. And it was pretty fun to see how everybody was fighting for that wheel of Van Vleuten on the Koppenberg, and the winners were SD Worx because they were there with 3 riders in her wheel, including the likes of Kopecky was in that wheel, Vollering was in that wheel, and we also had Royster in that wheel, who was actually the first one in the wheel of Van Vleuten, together with a Movistar rider in the 5th wheel. So 2 Movistars and 3 SD Worx first over that top. And the team I'm missing there is Trek, but they had been attacking quite a few times with the likes of Lucinda Brandt earlier on in the race. So it could be that they shot quite a few shots before we got to that Koppenberg already. But still, I'd expect more action there from Trek riders, and they seem to be following. And it wasn't until like 8th or 9th Friday where Balsamo was one of the first riders of Trek. So strong performance there, getting over the Koppenberg in the top 10 positions, I dare to say, for Elisa Balsamo. And perhaps she might be able to hold on towards the latter parts of this race. But we noticed that after the Koppenberg, that comes back together, and a move started happening at the front of the peloton. And it was by an attack by, I think, Aleni Sierra that actually kicked it off, where Majerus was in that group, the likes of Anna Henderson, Nivia Doma, Brody Chapman, Rijmakers, Berti Zolo, Confalonieri, Alessio Baril, and Van der Duin. But the strongest riders there, a Majerus, a Chapman, and Nivia Doma, those are pretty strong riders. And Sierra as well. Which teams are missing? Trek, again, not in this move. So a recurring team in this race. And despite having Majerus in that front group, SD Worx wasn't happy. SD Worx was like, how about we make this more interesting? Let's attack with Reusser in the group behind. And Reusser ended up catching that front group. And what did you think for that situation going into the final 30 kilometers where you have both Majerus and the likes of a Marlon Reusser in that group? Do you think that Movistar is panicking behind?
I think so. Particularly Reusser is a tank. Like, you don't want her slipping away, not chasing too long. Majerus is extremely strong. The only thing was that this reminded me of the Ronde or whatever documentary that Flanders Classics puts out. The start of it, the MVP one, the first time. And one of the Rudhoff says, the point of today is that Mathieu, it's all about Mathieu. Mathieu is going to win. And I feel like there was a similar conversation in the SD Worx bus today. Belgian champ Kopecky, number 1 rider for this team in this race. As I said, we've seen Vollering working. And I think the whole point was to try and bleed, not Vollering, AVV a bit. It worked in Strada Bianca. She doesn't have a stronger team. They just want to put Movistar in a difficult position because Norsgaard's a sprinter, and even Sierra's kind of a punchy type. They don't even have like a Chapman engine to bring it back comfortably. So I think that was the point. I always thought it was kind of for Kopecky, and we saw that later, Benji, as we moved on to the last Quarmont, where that group was still clear. And I looked down at the ticket. I was like, Brody Chapman. I thought it was someone else. I was like, this is incredible performance from her. She slipped away with, I think, was it Reusser?
Yeah, she was together with Reusser, and at the back we saw that Movistar was hammering it towards that outer Quarmont to launch again, Van Vleuten on the outer quadrant to try and close that because they're probably not comfortable with only Sierra in that front group. And that was pretty clear as they started moving up right there. And like you said, the split was at the front. There was a split. And it was because, first of all, Majerus worked for Reusser, and then Reusser followed Chapman, who attacked on the outer quadrant. So not even a Reusser attack happened. It was Chapman herself that went first. So again, MVP of the day in my eyes, certainly when it comes to the outsider teams here, is Chapman. And we noticed that the riders that tried to follow were Nivea Doma, which I was expecting a bit more of, I guess, with following Chapman and Reusser on the outer quadrant. Sierra also following Nivea Doma there. And then eventually Van Vleuten just flew past quite a few riders towards that. But no, she did not catch up yet because there was a gap then. Reusser and Chapman were off alone on a bit of an adventure. And that's between the outer quadrant and that upcoming climb, the Path to the Bed, where a lot can happen. And the odd thing was, I looked at that second group and who was pacing in the descent towards the Path to the Bed?
It was Chantal Vandenbroek Black, and this is where the hierarchy became very, very clear for SD Worx. Pacing a group with Annemiek van Vleuten back to a group with Reusser and Chapman before the Paterberg, I don't know. I don't know about that. I'm still not sure I would tell the riders to do that in the car, but they wanted Belgian national champ Ronde van Vlaanderen to win, I think. And they brought that, like, it's crazy, Benji. If AVV dropped them all in the Paterberg, then it wouldn't have looked good. But she wasn't able to. They get to the Paterberg. It's Reusser pacing hard. She dropped Brodie Chapman. Chantal Vandenbroek Black, I think, was just slipping off the back a little bit. Kopecky you can't even see her the whole race.
Yeah.
She's stuck behind the slender figure of Van Vleuten on the Paterberg. And this is where Van Vleuten went clear last year. She wasn't able to. Maybe that extra work, maybe having to bridge back, wasn't able to. She crests the Paterberg, the last climb of the day, with Reusser, with Lotte Kopecky, with Nuvidoma and Chapman 10 meters behind them, and Chantal Vandenbroek Black a little bit further behind. So then with two SD Worx riders, neither of whom were willing to really. Reusser paced for a bit. She tried to attack. Their plan was, I think, to work over AVV. I saw two sort of conflicting strategies here, Benji. Yep. I thought SD Worx either would have chosen, okay, Kopecky sprint, awesome, pace with Reusser, or let's roll attacks. And they kind of did a bit of both.
Yeah, I think so as well. And the situation led to something weird because Reusser indeed started pacing a bit, then stopped pacing, and they basically started looking at Van Vleuten to pace. But if you're on a MIG, there's no way you're going to be pacing in a group with Kopecky and Reusser, even if it brings other people back, because then you might try and attack someone later on when the cooperation is a bit gone. But they knew that Vandenbroek Black was in the group behind, and perhaps that's the reason why they started toying around a bit, because that group with Vandenbroek Black and Chapman came back to that Reusser and so forth group, and we saw a move by Vandenbroek Black on the, I think it was right side of the road. I'm not actually certain about that fact. But she actually got a bit of a gap, and it was up to Van Vleuten to respond, obviously. And Kopecky, she was on a bit of a gap, trying to chase down Van Vleuten. I was a bit scared when it comes to that, because Van Vleuten was hammering towards that move by Vandenbroek Black, and the others couldn't follow. It was those three that were left at that point. And Van Vleuten closes down Vandenbroek Black. Kopecky closes down those two. And then you've got a very similar situation than the one they just came from. Two SD Worx riders with Van Vleuten, and then it was clear that one rider was working for the other at first, with Vandenbroek Black keeping up the pace for Kopecky. But at some point it started going weird again, because I swear that Kopecky was certainly pacing.
A couple of times, yeah. And I thought, okay, why is this different to the Reusser situation, which you weren't happy with, which you attacked from? I don't know what's changed here. Why don't you let Reusser come back, attack again, bleed AVV some more? We still got 11 Ks from the finish. We saw that at Omloop, AVV paced the entire time, still won the sprint. And here, she was able to sit in the draft of Chantal Vandenbroek Black for 8 Ks, recovering. And it seemed like SD Worx were very, very confident in Lotte Kopecky's sprint. Now, she hung on to AVV on the wall up to Siena and beat her, but it was close in Strada Bianca. Here we have a flat sprint. Yes, Kopecky is faster on paper, in real life. She is the faster sprinter, bigger woman, and she's come top 3 regularly in bunch sprints. But you never know. It's at the end of Flanders. AVV is a superpower, and if she goes for a long sprint, or if Vandenbroek Black runs out of steam, I don't know. Anyway, she paces. We get to the finish, 3 up. Van der Black leading it out. AVV has to go early. She doesn't have the 5-second acceleration. She has to burn Lotte Kopecky, or hope she can. She goes with 250 to go super far. Kopecky comes out of the wheel early and proves my doubts wrong. Absolutely dusts AVV in the sprint, erasing the Vollering Omloop memory for SD Worx, winning Ronde van Vlaanderen in the Belgian national champs jersey, 3 or 4 bike lengths ahead of AVV. One Strade, now one RVV. I thought she'd be the new leader at SD Worx before the season. For once, I was right about something. And although it could have been Royce, it could have been Van der Black if AVV couldn't have closed them down. Incredible win for her. The top 10, though. Kopecky first, Van Vleuten second, SD Worx third as well with Van der Black. Then Sierra fourth. So really nice result from her. Royce fifth. Then Uttrup Ludwig and Grace Brown actually caught the Chapman group, who with Kasia Niewiadoma were pacing the whole time, trying to catch the Kopecky Van Vleuten group. And then it was Chapman ninth behind Niewiadoma and Bastianelli winning a bunch sprint for 10th. So that's one of the best results, I think, of Chapman's career. And it could have been better. It was stronger than ninth. So fantastic result for her. Fantastic for SD Worx. Trek, a little bit lacking today. What went wrong, Benji? Is Balsamo is just too hard the course for her?
Yeah, I think the parkour was too hard for her. I was expecting it to be too hard for her. Longoborghini tried some stuff to be with moves, but in the end, she was not with the decisive ones, and probably also dependent on the fact that she probably wasn't good enough to be with those moves. And in the end, that leads to no top 10 rider for Trek. And this is, in my opinion, the worst race of their season probably so far. And yes, they've won a lot with Elisa Balsamo, but RVV is a pretty good race, and it's been unfortunate that FDJ can get 3 riders in the top 10, that SD Worx can get 3 riders in the top 10, that Movistar can get 2 riders in the top 10, and that Trek is not represented after strengthening their team so much before the season started. So I was expecting more, as simple as that. Although I wasn't expecting Balsamo to be there when the action happened when it comes to the fine lie. Didn't see it happening, and it turned out to be correct for once. Just like your Kopecky prediction. We once got it right. But this is big for Belgium. Come on. Lotte Kopecky won RVV. It's her dream race. She got, I think, third at some point in the history before. I think in 2020, actually, 2 years ago only. And her move to SD Worx was a golden move for both parties, getting both Strade and RVV for that team now. Splendid upping in the career, and she's entering the peak years in her career as well. And I think the outnumbering factor of SD Worx is so important in delivering these victories,
100%.
Especially RVV. You can say about Strade Bianche, sure, she was probably also simply one of the stronger riders there. One of the 2 stronger riders, probably the strongest in the end, to be honest. And I think the team factor was more important in this race than it was in Strade Bianche.
I think so. If you don't put AVV under pressure before last Claremont-Paterberg, you're in trouble. Or if you don't have team to shut down and neutralize AVV on Koppenberg, and you have to close that, doing your head-to-head TT with an hour left, you're in trouble. It makes a huge difference. And last year on Liv, she was having to do that. I remember last year, Benji, in Paris-Roubaix, just thinking ahead a bit, Paris-Roubaix Femme avec Zwift in a couple of weeks. Was she the rider that was on the left side of the road, wanted to have change a tyre, and then veered to the right and crashed other riders last year? Paris-Roubaix? Maybe I'm putting that in. I think it was
that's
her.
Right.
She came 15th in the end. She is looking good for Roubaix as well. They've got Royce, the big engine. I think she should be the favourite for Roubaix.
It's difficult because, I think Roubaix is very different than all these races where you've got so many other candidates, where on a flat Roubaix, you've got Brennauer that can come up and do well there. Majerus from SD Worx is very strong on flat cobbles as well. Was also strong today in that group of Chapman. So, like you said, Bastianelli, but I don't know. I think there's a difference between Roubaix and RVV, and we can't pull those 2 races over the same category personally, as RVV is in Flanders and therefore automatically the best race in the world. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I do think the outnumbering factor is huge again for Roubaix. They can play that so well, and we saw last year that Roubaix was opened up early, and they can do that because they've got plenty of riders to do stuff early with, and still have riders left at the end.
And we've never seen a dry women's Paris-Roubaix yet. So we don't
Well,
know,
will
like,
it be dry?
well, that's a very good point. It might not be. It might be snowy conditions. As we know, the extreme weather protocol doesn't apply to one day races, just for Italian transition stages in May. But yeah, I think the numbers advantage is more impactful in dry conditions, whereas it was just an all out every woman for herself in the mud last year. But huge win for Kopecky, huge win for SD Works. They fight back at Trek, who had been on an absolute burner with Elisa Balsamo and co winning Gent Wevelgem. So yeah, huge. And there's no E3 yet. I think it's in a. You're on. Was that is E3 in a couple of months?
Yeah, it's next month or at the end of April, actually. But I've heard basically nothing about it, despite the fact that it has like 40 kilometers or something off the hill. So it could actually turn out to be a reduced bunch sprint like Gent-Wevelgem, if I saw it correctly, despite having quite a few of the known hills out there. So yeah, if I know anything about it, I'll post it on Twitter, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I think a lot of organizers are toying with various formats. Do you have the women's race on the Saturday? Do you have it? I also previously have had it before the men's race. Not sure whether that's helped viewership as much. Flanders Classics have gone with the women's race finishing about 75 minutes after the men's race, and now E3 have it on a completely different time. I think one of the two best options is either on the Saturday and you make it a full weekend festival of cycling, or I'm sure the Flanders Classics one as well definitely helps viewership with people transitioning straight from the men's race, carrying that momentum into the women's finale. But great race from SD Works and big. I mean, it's over. I can't believe it's over, Benji. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like the season's just started and we've already just done our Flanders recap.
Yeah,
Like,
but
where's the year going?
I've got the feeling that I was so hyped for RVV that we just had this day, and I'm not realizing that the races are over yet. So I'm kind of in that phase of like, wait, there's nothing else. Like we had two great races, but like it's like only 6 in the evening. Come on.
I know, and we're straight into Basque Country tomorrow. I don't even know who's starting there. Apparently, they pulled Ayuso out and McNulty, and which is a shame because that would have been some memes. But yeah, straight into Basque Country, then Amstel Gold Race next weekend, then Paris Bay, and then
Yeah,
by then Ardennes will be done, and we'll be doing a Giro preview.
yeah. Are we doing Brabant Sepel though? That's a real question.
Depends who lines up. Depends
Okay.
if it's a good start list, like we've seen in the past. Yeah, we'll be doing it. But that was all from us on Tour of Flanders weekend. Benji and I are planning on going to the Giro for the Grande Partenza in Hungary at the start of May. So any Hungarian recommendations? Well, I've been to Budapest many times. Love the city, but yeah, we'll be going there, recording pods, checking it out, and I'm really excited for that. That's thanks to the support of Zwift, as always, the LRCP presenting sponsor. Till Basque Country tomorrow. Ciao.